I'm Willie Vogt with Farm Progress, Editorial Director, and I'm today talking with Holly Spangler, Editor of Prairie Farmer, one of the hosts for the 2021 Farm Progress Show, which we're going to be live this year, August 31st, September 1st, and 2nd in Decatur, Illinois. But Holly, you know, we talk about the Farm Progress Show, we get excited about all the products, but I think one of the other reasons people come to the Farm Progress Show is to get answers to the questions that are bugging them about their operations. And I think the first one that comes to my mind and has been this up and down of the volatility of the ethanol market. What do you hear? Do you hear anything on that?
You know, I think there's going to be a lot of conversation about what's next, what's going to happen next with the administration, what the next regulations are going to look like, what, you know, some of those waivers are going to look like this time around, and certainly all the farm groups are there and going to be ready to talk about that.
So the other thing about that, from my finding, is new uses, and there's been new data on ethanol, which I think you'll be able to get at the Farm Progress Show. From my standpoint, ethanol actually has an improving and a better environmental and carbon footprint than a lot of people give it credit for. And I think that the Growth Energy Group's been really doing a good job of boosting unleaded 88. And what they're finding is that you can lower your carbon footprint by just running E15, and it's a story we're going to hear more about. I know the corn growers will be at the Farm Progress Show. They'll be happy to talk about it, but I'm sure you'll find other things. You know, the other thing, and we'll talk about some of the fun stuff that I'm excited about, you know, we've talked about this. FBI Buildings is going to put a building up and down and up and down. They're going to do it 4 times a day, 3 times on Thursday. Yeah. It's a cool topic.
It really is. I mean, farmers have been building pole barns for a long time,
right?
So, you know, this is kind of the biggest revolution in that sense, the pole, maybe. So it's neat to see a process that's a little more safe, you know, for people putting it up, and it's maybe a little easier for everybody all the way around.
It's not something I would have thought of.
No.
I mean, you just think about all the roof work is done on the ground, then the building is raised, the ties are tied to the floor, bolted together, buildings up.
Yeah.
And they are going to raise and lower the building. And I guess they're going to leave it there because as part of a program at RCC, that building is going to become a shop for them?
I think that's right, yeah. Richland Community College has a really thriving ag program now. They've got a good guy, Jeff Smithers, you know, at the head of it, really bringing in new curriculum and new programs, and they've got a, you know, thriving transfer program, you know, if you want to go on, and they've got a thriving associate's degree if you want to stay. So I think it'll be good for them and good for us in terms of a long-term relationship there.
The more buildings on site, the better, as far as I'm concerned. It's just always good to have those. I'm hoping for a press building someday, but that's a different story. What else do you think farmers are going to be looking at there?
I think there's going to be a lot of interest. You know, we talk about buildings. There's going to be a lot of interest in cost of buildings.
Right.
You know, steel is up, lumber is up, lumber is maybe a little bit back down. You know, I think of our venerable ag economist friend John Odie, who used to talk about, you know, prices are, you know, go up, but they're always sticky downwards. So we'll see. You know, I think farmers may be able to talk, you know, directly to those companies, you know, some of those building companies, and get a better idea for what kind of deal can you actually make.
Yeah, and they're all there, and they're ready to talk. So I think that's important too. And also, so are the grain bin manufacturers, because even with the drought, we're going to have a lot of corn to put in the bin, and I think that guys are looking at that solution too, even with steel prices up. So that'll be good. You know, we talk about that's the hardware of agriculture. We do talk a little bit about the software of agriculture that's at the show. And one of the software questions I think that's come up more often is my data. What do I do with my data? Now, most of the companies you work with have a stated policy on your data, but you've heard some things about that too, right?
Yeah, it seems like there's always a group of farmers trying to harness this and figure out a way, but we've heard something more recently, you know, with a group of farmers who've put together about 500,000 acres. And these are just farmers who want to say, you know, we want to own all of this information, and then maybe, you know, we can share that, but it's our decision. and if anybody's going to profit off of it, it's going to be us.
It's been tried, so it'll be very interesting before, and it'll be very interesting to see how that comes out. But he's going to be at the show, right? They're going to be on probably Varied Industries tent, or where do you think they'll be?
So. Varied Industries.
So if you're interested in that, look him up. What's his name?
Matt Barnard.
Matt Barnard. So give Matt a shot. Oh yeah, Matt's pretty innovative, so it'll be fun. It'll be a good conversation. Yeah. What else has been popping up in what we've been covering? You
know, I think there's been a lot of conversation about you know, shortages in our supply chain in terms of herbicide. You know, a lot of people may be putting on herbicide, you know, at different times this year because of the weather patterns that, you know, maybe caused a little bit of a kink in the supply chain and in what was available. So I think those are going to be some questions going into next year.
I'm pretty sure the supply chain was pretty much kinked from the pandemic. And I think the interesting thing about that, though, is it's not just crop protection products. Equipment is being severely crimped, parts. So one of the things to do when you're at the show is make sure you go to the supplier you do work with. And if you have multiple brands, they'll all be there. Make sure you visit all of them. But go to those and make sure you talk to those guys, because we have companies there. The companies are exhibiting. So John Deere, Case IH, New Holland, AGCO with their Fendt line and their Massey Ferguson line. Those are company folks, and if you've got questions about parts or working with your dealer, this is the place to come get some of those answers. And I will tell you right now that you should be planning for planting, and that's something to think about already from the parts standpoint.
Yeah.
So I think that this whole supply chain in the pandemic is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I think the Farm Progress Show is that place where maybe you haven't gotten a satisfactory answer from your dealer or from the person up that you went to. You can go straight to the top.
Yes.
Here,
yes.
You can talk to the people you need to talk to, get the answer that you need.
Yeah, most of the guys and gals there have titles like product manager, product director. My favorite, product lead. Lead is a big word in titles, but that's true both at the machinery companies, but also at the crop protection and the seed companies. The same leadership is there too. So if you've got questions about the supply chain, what seed's going to be available, what crop protection, this is really the place to come.
Right. Right. Those people tend to have like North American in front of their titles.
Yes, I did notice that. You know, in the interstate, we are excited because I think a lot of U.S. farmers, North American farmers, are excited to be able to go to a live show. And we know there's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be more room. Our international visitors can't join us this year.
Right.
So that's sad because, I mean, it's always fun to scream out a bom dia to the Brazilian group as they come through and thank them for coming.
Yeah.
But I think that the nice thing for everybody is that there'll still be a solid crowd and a lot of great things to see. What is it? Hundreds of exhibitors, 360 demos. I saw that this morning. I mean, just when you add up all the demonstrations that are available, it's crazy.
350 acres of crops to demonstrate, you know, combines and auger wagons and autonomous equipment.
Oh, that's the robots will be there. That's right.
Yeah, a little bit of everything out there.
The tillage, we're also still doing the tiling demo out there because we are still tiling that ground at Decatur, so that's something to see. I think that's in the afternoon.
Yeah,
so,
it's from noon to 1, and they're doing about 10 acres a day. So if you want to see it,
get there at noon. I'd say get there at 11:45 to get a good seat. You know, you're standing.
Just come straight over from the combine demos.
Yes. Right from the combine demos.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the other thing is that this is such a boots on the ground kind of show for both equipment and then also issues. Because the other thing is if you've got questions about what's going on with soybeans and corn, we have representatives from those commodity groups will be on hand. I've already been tagged by one of the commodity groups to meet with the president and vice president of the Soybean Association. And so I think that those are people that you get to see too and can talk to them and get questions answered.
Well, and conveniently for Illinois farmers, Illinois corn and Illinois soybeans are in the same tent this year. So.
Think of the time you'll save. And one question that keeps coming up, and we've kind of touched on the supply issues and the pricing issues. Will 2022 look like 2021? And I don't have an answer exactly, but I think that one thing you'll find is that every company is scrambling to fix these issues. We have heard stories, though, the chip shortages will continue, and that's going to maybe impact how you buy stuff. But I think, again, I would come to the show to get answers, and they're going to talk to you. They have to.
For sure.
And this is exciting. So Holly, it's been great talking to you about the things, a little wider circle of what the Farm Progress Show can bring to people versus just lots of great equipment and the hardware and software bag that I always talk about. And I appreciate your time. And we are going to see Holly every day at the show in the hospitality building. And I think that's going to be exciting. And I might be there too. You never know. I'm all over the place. So
in and out.
Good to talk to you. And we look forward to seeing everybody at the Farm Progress Show. If you need information, farmprogressshow.com. You can order your tickets early and it'll speed you into the gates. And the other thing to think about is at farmprogressshow.com will give you the entire exhibitor list. You can plan your show using Map Your Show. It's a great tool. If you just register, it's free to register. And you can do this, and if you download the app to your phone, you can make all your appointments and then you won't miss anything. And I got to tell you, covering that show, we're there Monday to the end of the day Thursday. And I know all of you only have maybe a day. I think the answer is that if you want to make the most of that day, the app can really make a difference.
Right. Well, and remember too, like it's been 2 years, but the technology rollouts have kept on coming, so there's a lot to see.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. As a matter of fact, I was with John Deere this week, and the X9, this will be the first time the X9 combine has actually been someplace where farmers can see it. It's also the first place AGCO is showing the new Rogator sprayer, which is really exciting. I mean, these are firsts which are common, and as our friend Tom Beckman, the editor of Indiana Prairie Farmer and the other host magazine for the event will tell you, we see as many prototypes at this show as we do new products. So you get to see stuff early, and I think that's going to be very exciting too. And again, the autonomy demonstration, that's going to be neat too. So I don't know, there's so much, I'm excited. I don't have time to see it all, but we'll see you all there. And thanks, Holly.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Willie.